things. What's up, TikTok? We are just starting the show. As I was explaining before, I'm not going to be on TikTok too long because TikTok will cut out any music that I play if it's not registered with TikTok, and we're working on that part of it. But until then, I'm only going to be on TikTok for a short time. I'm on other platforms like YouTube, Twitch right now. If you want to catch the live version of the show instead of the edited version, which ends up on YouTube within 2 weeks. Uh, reason why I wanted to go live on TikTok as well is to explain and let everybody know what we are doing at Greenwood, our new focus, and to get you to go over to check out what we have been putting out in the last 8 months. We're organically growing our fan base. We're not buying followers and all that old shit. We have good music, so there's no need to do that bullshit, buying shit. Um, well, while we wait for that, I am excited because I got everything fixed. Everything works. That's fantastic. Every show something was happening, and I knew what it was. I just had to get on, stop procrastinating and order certain shit and call in my technician to make everything right. And I finally did that last week, and my cord finally came in for this camera right here. And so it's on. It ain't gonna shut off. I ain't gotta watch it in regards to switching out batteries, all that good shit. I'm happy. I'm happy, man. I can switch cameras now with no problem. Everything works. I can go to the other camera over here. This is fantastic. You guys can't see it on Facebook or TikTok, but if you are on YouTube, everything is working. The lighting, the sound. I got the sound up. I got all three cameras. Yeah, it's fantastic, man. It's coming together. You. One thing I learned in almost 30 years of show business, and especially in this day and age, you got to cut costs in regards to um, um, trying to put stuff together. You got to cut your costs, and that means you got to do things by yourself. You got to do something. You don't bring other people into. And I've learned this the hard way, financially, financially mostly. Uh, you got to do it, your dream, your idea, by yourself, for until you can't anymore. And when that you can't it comes, that means you're making money, and you're making enough to facilitate to bring someone else on. But if you can't do that right now, don't fret. Yeah, it might be a little extra work for you. This shit is, if you can see my setup in this bitch, it's a lot of shit going on in here. Let me show you. I'll show you. There's a lot of shit going on in this bitch. It's a television studio. It's a lot of, and I gotta see. I've been spoiled because making movies and music videos. I've been able to hire people because of a budget or whatever like thereof. To hire people to do this technical shit. I'm not a technical person. I'm a tech geek or whatever, but I'm not a technical person. I'm the creative person. I know how to do certain technical shit, but I'm the type of person that go get the person that know how to do that shit better than me and do that shit. But when you're trying to cut costs, restructuring, this is what you got to do. You got to do some shit by yourself, and so that's what I've been doing. And unfortunately, when you are able to pay other people to do things for you, you get lazy. You get used to that. You get entitled a little bit, and feel like, nah, I learned that later. That later comes faster than you want it to come. A lot of times, sometimes that later comes abruptly, and then where you don't know how to do shit. Or you got an idea or an inclination, but you can't troubleshoot because you don't know where the trouble started because you don't know the equipment. So it had forced my hand to really dig in deep and start learning the shit that I paid for, and and it's been rewarding. It's been rewarding. I know how to use the shit now. I got it ain't nothing like buying expensive equipment and then not knowing how to use that shit. So we good, man. He came in for about an hour and a half. Boom, boom, boom. I figured out some other shit I was doing wrong. I was like, oh, that's what. Okay, yeah, bam, bam. So we good, man. I'm excited about this shit. I'm excited about that. It's small victories, small victories. So again, for the TikTok people, we have a lot of followers on TikTok. Good morning. We have a lot of followers on TikTok, and admittedly, been losing probably 1,000 a month. And full disclosure, I ain't gonna bullshit you. I ain't got nothing. I ain't got a lot to kick it. I haven't been able to figure out how to wield that power, so to speak. And what I mean by that is how we started as Greenwood isn't where we are right now. We still doing, the visual and content creation, but we are focused on music, more on music and music video creation right now, because it's cost effective right now. It's not cost effective to do full-fledged films and the studio thing that we were doing when we had the building and made history, etc., etc. That's not a doable thing right now. So instead of filing bankruptcy and just giving up on the whole thing of 2-3 years worth of sweat, blood, and tears, I'm trying to regroup it by focusing on what I know and what I can depend on and do if I had to by myself, and that's music. And it's been working. It's been working. So I don't know TikTok well enough to be doing certain things, but I do know that they won't right now. I haven't checked in a few weeks, but they won't allow the music that I want to add in the videos, which is our music. It makes no sense to me to do TikTok videos and we make music and we can't put the music on. The music used to be on there. There's some videos where we put our own music on it because it was available on TikTok. All of a sudden, it's not available. And the reason why that is, and I've explained this before, the reason why that is because I think TikTok has a preferred distributor, which is TuneCore. So I've released a song or two on TuneCore to test that theory. And so again, I haven't checked in a few weeks. So one of my songs may be, or one of Greenwood's songs may be on TikTok now. If that's so, my next ad will include that song, and so that we can lead you to go find where our music is. And that's everywhere else, all other social medias, Spotify, any Tidal, whatever, wherever you go to listen to your music. Again, it's a slow burn. We are building our fan base in regards to the music, because we weren't known for music when we started. We were known for making movies, et cetera, doing television shows, et cetera, et cetera. Now we are restructuring and we are focused on music and music videos. And so what we want from TikTok, as far as fans of TikTok, is to go find our music. You can click on the link, or you can search Hood Rawlz. That's HOOD, capital RAWLZ, or Mr. Woosaa, MISTAWOOSAA. Look for those. The music is banging. It sounds different. That's all I will say. It ain't the same shit you hear every day and everybody sound like each other. It ain't none of that. I promise you. And so that's been working for us. We carving out a lane, not sounding like everybody else, and it's been working. We've been doing pop music, R&B pop, rap, hip hop, etc., etc. Nobody dies in our music. We cherish that. We took a challenge. T-Pain and 50 Cent and other executives in the music business have challenged us as black artists to do something different. And that's what we're doing. We're going against the grain. What's up, girl? We're going against the grain of what normal and popular music is today. We're going against that grain and doing something different. What's up with it, Kim? And it's been working. So again, if you're on TikTok, please look up our music, and go check that shit out. And again, until I figure out a better way to take all the followers that we have on TikTok and spread them out through our social medias, because we got to bring our social medias up. We got to up our social media game across all platforms for the music to really take off. And I got some stats. I've been looking at the analytics last night. They love us in Kyoto, Japan. They love the song Hop In. They banging that shit. But I got the numbers, and we make money off of this. And so the numbers are coming in, and people, it's resonating. The music is resonating, and there's money to be made, especially if the music is different and it's good. Cream rises to the top. And so that's what I bank on. You ain't got to ever hear them, heard of us or whatever. Just listen to the music. The music speaks for itself. And so that's what this show, That One Time I, is about. I do a show on YouTube or Twitch called That One Time I, and that's where I share my experience as an artist, whether it's in stand-up or rap or just in show business in general as a filmmaker, and give you tips and no bullshit about this business. The no bullshit about this business. And matter of fact, I do know what I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna continue a conversation that one of my friends, Akil from Jurassic 5, posted earlier today about what Chance the Rapper was saying not to do, and I concur with Chance the Rapper, and I'm gonna tell you why in a second. What you getting into today, Kim? So I'm gonna let y'all go on TikTok. I appreciate you. If you want to watch this live, go to Twitch or go to YouTube. Greenwood District Studios on YouTube. You can watch it live right now. And the only reason why I'm leaving you and doing this for a short time is because I'm going to be playing some music of our music and making beats and stuff like that. And TikTok will shut, they shut it down and all that. And until I get that fixed, I came on here to direct you guys and let you know what we are doing here at Greenwood. All right. Have a great weekend. I hope you're safe. Hope you didn't blow no fingertips off on the holidays and everything like that. And I hope you save me a couple ribs. I'll give you my address in a minute. All right. Holla. Yeah, let me get on there. He has said, don't sign a record deal. Don't sign a distribution deal. Don't sign a publishing deal. Don't sign a management deal. Hire the people that you need to work with you. Pick out your goals and go get them done. That's exactly what I'm gonna play this song, and then we're gonna talk about what I just had read, okay? This is Get a Taste. This just came out.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to introduce you to
I'm a formidable, incredible, rhyme skill lyrical. I'm using syllables, I get political, I got deliverables. Move on to the spiritual, be memorable. No cap, but I like cereal. Your product is more like immaterial. I'm sorta like a mind fuck, get a taste and feel like you've been side punched. Your goal is fake, no honorable mention or no second place. You get no participation trophy for namesake. Learn my lesson from all the fake. You do better when you know better. Mind your plate, hold it down with a familiar face. Even your shoulders got an agenda, keep them draped. I keep my partners close, but no squares in my space. Happy for you, even though it's not my taste. I go places I've never been, so I can stay humble and not live past my mens. It's some miserable motherfuckers out there. That grass ain't greener, life just ain't fair. Except while fair is everywhere. I remember that shit back when I didn't used to care. Not a worry in the world. I used to be thinking, wonder what kind of nigga I'ma be if I live past this weekend.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to introduce you to
I'm sorta like a mind fuck. Get a taste and feel like you've been side punched. Your goal is fake.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to introduce you to
I'm sorta like a mind fuck. Get a taste and feel like you've been side punched. Your goal is fake. Your goal is fake. Ain't nothing new. Follow the leader or some other crew. If they do it, I gotta do it too. I don't wanna miss out. I'm part of the FOMO crew. Hold it down for fuck's
to introduce you to.
I'm sorta like a mindfuck. Get a taste and feel like you've been side punched. Your gold is fake.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to introduce you to.
I'm sorta like a mindfuck. Get a taste and feel like you've been side punched. Your gold is fake.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to introduce you to.
I'm sorta like a mindfuck. Get a taste and feel like you've been side punched. Your gold is fake.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to introduce you to.
I'm sorta like a mindfuck. Get a taste and feel like you've been side punched. Your gold is fake. I'm sorta like a mindfuck. Get a taste and feel like you've been side punched. Your gold is fake. I'm sorta like a mindfuck. Get a taste and feel like you've been side punched. Your gold is fake. That was Hood Rawlz. Chance the Rapper, man. That one time I spoke about and concurred with Chance the Rapper from experience. So Chance said, don't sign a record deal, don't sign a distribution deal, don't sign a publishing deal, don't sign a management deal. Hire the people that need to work with you, pick out your goals, and go get them done. And this is going to come from my experience from being in show business, me being able to concur what he has said just by experiencing it. Don't matter that I know some people that are in the business, whether it's music, television, or film. The fact that I've experienced a lot of this shit on my own, and then having access to those people that I just listed was the confirmation. So I got to see that which I had a suspicion of and or inclination that that's how it works. It's like, and sometimes, most of the time, if I don't ask questions, this is in retrospect, if I didn't ask questions about that which I had an inclination of and then saw it happen, I could still get it wrong. Does that make sense? I could still get it wrong because the unseen is what ultimately could have made that scenario work or happen that I didn't do. You know, sometimes we don't ask those questions. One, because we used to people not sharing information. Two, we used to people not sharing information. We don't share information, and so a lot of times the accidents that we incur in trying to reach our dreams is that because our brother or sister allowed that shit to happen, and sometimes our brother and sister tried to tell us, and we didn't listen, so we allowed it to happen. And I can't tell you how many times I done gave people solid and free information on how to make some money on what they produced, and they laughed at me. And it was like, wow. And so that made me understand the whole phrase, the game is to be sold, not told, because people don't want it for free. I figured that out the hard way a long time ago. People don't want it for free. If you try to give them information, I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to tell you a story on how I learned some of the stuff that Chance is talking about, because I used to work for Master P. Working for Master P, one of my jobs, I had to go get some masters from Warner Brothers, I think it was. So I had to go pick up some masters. I was working on the film Foolish. And if you watch the earlier stories that are on my YouTube page, that one time I used to work for Master P, you'll hear some things that are related to those stories. But I was working for Master P, and then on this day, I did a bunch of jobs working for. I was a driver, location driver, PA, and on this day, I went to go pick some shit up for the production. So I was excited. You know, I was young. I was in my early 20s, and I'm at Warner Brothers. I'm at Warner Brothers, yo. I'm like, so I'm at Warner Brothers, man. And I'm knowing, I'm in this moment feeling it. Like, damn, this is, I'm in the lobby. I've already told them what I was there for. They were expecting me. And so I'm in the lobby and waiting for the masters to come out, right? And so there was a security guard. He was the only person that was in the I can't remember, you know, if you want to call it a waiting room or front lobby or whatever. I was in there by myself. That's all I remember. I was in there by myself along with the security dude. He was at the front desk. And I remember just standing there looking around like, wow. And in my other side of my head, it's like, how am I getting this bitch? You know what I'm saying? I was up in my head like, how am I going to be running something in this motherfucker? How am I going to make that happen? But I remember also thinking, damn, this is where they make the magic happen in regards to the music. Because I think I was there to pick up some music shit. I wasn't sure it could have been filmed, but I thought I was there to pick up some music shit. So while I'm waiting, I say to the security guard, I say, so this is where all the magic happens, huh? Like some old movie shit. I'm like, so this is where they do it, huh? And he was like, well, not really. My ears perked up, huh? He said, yeah, they do some recording here, but mostly they just mix and master it and distribute it. He said, in this day and age, a lot of the people make the music at home and then just bring it to us to mix it and then distribute it. I was like, really? And then remember when I told you about experiencing some things you see and it's not being explained to you? So when he said that, an instance clicked in my head of that confirmed what he was saying, because I had seen it. So one day who I was with, I was hired. If you go watch that one time, I worked for Master P. This will connect. So when I first got my first job in Hollywood, I was hired to write a movie project for a music artist, and it was via a liaison at Warner Brothers via my manager at the time. When the security guard said what he said, I instantly flashed back to when I was supposed to write this movie for this artist. They had took me over to another artist's house, and it seemed like it was in the hood in California. And one of the artist's house, I don't know if it was his apartment or his girl or wherever, it's where we went, but one of the members of the Born Jamericans, I don't know if y'all remember them, the Born Jamericans, two brothers, I don't know, brothers, two black dudes. One sang and one, had that Shabba Ranks type of voice. I went over to where one of them was at, and it was the dark-skinned one, the Shabba Ranks singing, sounding type of dude. And it was a regular old apartment. So this is me just being in Hollywood for the first time. My perception of how it's supposed to look was being shattered. I'm thinking everybody rich that's in show business type of shit still. You know what I'm saying? So I knew who the Born Jamericans was, but when I saw them at this apartment, I'm like, I'm not thinking these are regular people. You know what I'm saying? Like, they human. They came from somewhere, But I'm at this regular apartment in the hood, and it's one of the dudes from Born. I'm like, and then in one of the rooms, they was going in out of this room. It had some music equipment in there. And I remember the dude from Born Jamericans, he telling, I can't remember who I was with, somebody named Russell or something like that. So he took Russell in there and was like, hey, check out what I'm working on. I couldn't tell you what it was. I couldn't, if you played it for me today, I couldn't tell you, yeah, that's what it was. I was just enamored by the fact that, damn, okay, they making music and they living room and shit. I thought they had big Dr. Dre studios and shit. So this is when I started learning shit, I'm like, damn. So when I was at Warner Brothers, fast forward, I'm at Warner Brothers and he says that to me, I'm like, knowing what he talking about. Yeah, I did see that shit. Because later on in life, I ended up living with a music producer in Studio City who made all that shit in the living room, in his living room. And he was doing shit for not Warner Brothers, but Sony Studios, Hidden Beach Records. A matter of fact, he did the Unwrapped series. The first 3 of them I know for a fact. I slept on his couch for the first 2 of them. Unwrapped. Go look up Unwrapped and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a hip hop jazz fusion series. I stayed at the dude's house who did the first 3 of them. I got stories on that shit that I'm gonna do. That one time but yeah, so I started to experience and see those things. So the dude, the security guard was like, yeah, they just bring the shit here and we finish it up and distribute it. So I'm like, wow. So when Chance says, don't sign a record deal, and this was a long time, but this is my early 20s. This was 20-something years ago. So experiencing that got me to start looking at trends, and not in the trades or the magazines. You really have to like be in the mix to start seeing, and predicting what's going to happen in the future. Because reading magazines, they be behind and shit, and especially in the information that they're going to share with you about what's going on in the industry. You really have to have your foot in the industry and then pay attention. You can have your foot in the industry, not pay attention and don't see the trends and fall behind, right? And what I mean by that is, because I saw that, at the time I saw it, what was going on in real time on television and the magazines didn't reflect. At the time, Napster was hitting. And that's why the security guard was able to say what he said, is because Napster was doing damage at the time. So when he said that, and then I'm thinking about what Napster was doing, I'm like, damn, so the music business is in trouble. If they shut down their division of recording artists because there's no need for it because everybody's doing it at home, I started thinking about that shit. And so I was like, that shit gonna happen to film eventually. At the time, everybody's shooting on film still, 16 millimeter or 35 or whatever. But that shit was going to change because the digital prosumer cameras and all that shit started being developed and coming out, DV tapes and everything like that. So that's how I started thinking early on. I'm like, yeah, that shit gonna change in a minute. So I should start getting my digital film game in order and start studying up on that shit, because that's gonna become the new thing and be relevant. And lo and behold, that shit, and it went beyond the digital mini DVs. Now we got the straight digital, recording onto a hard drive. Boom. You don't like the take, boom, you delete that shit and do it again. See, with film, back in the day, it wasn't like that. You got setups, then you got to go in a dark place to, after you shoot the shit, so you can create some dailies and watch it at the end of the day, and take and reloading the camera. It take about 15, 20 minutes and blah, blah, blah. And if you don't like it, you can't see it until the end of the day when you're watching the dailies. And you say, yeah, let's shoot that over. When nowadays, you can shoot that shit over right then and there. You can see that you don't like it. Oh, let's do it again. This was in the way, that type of shit or whatever, and do it right there on the spot. And so I saw that shit coming, not in that intricate of detail, but I saw it coming. And so I moved through life in this business accordingly. And because of that inside information that I had, when I would try to share it, come home to Michigan, share it with my homies, and we could do this thing on our own, and this is how I seen it. This is how you gonna. They wasn't, some of them went along with it for a minute until it, it didn't seemingly wasn't making no money, or we hit a pitfall or whatever. They don't know how to recover because there's no blueprint here in my town. You know what I'm saying? New York, Chicago, they got blueprints, walking around, driving around. We don't really have a blueprint. So here I'm coming from this small town, coming back talking about, yeah, we could do this, that they see on a big screen or in a magazine, and all they see is the post-production, the finished product. They don't see what went into making that shit happen. So therefore, you need all this money in order to do that. They haven't seen what I've seen. So therefore, it was an uphill battle trying to convince people to do something tried to convince people this is how you get to what you want to do, especially the people in the entertainment business. I done been there. I done seen the mountaintop. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming back home trying to shit. Man, that shit's been a struggle so much. And don't let something bad happen. Oh shit, I knew it. See, I told you. No, you know, it's more to it. But when he says don't sign a record deal, that shit is the realest shit ever, because MC Hammer proved it to you. Master P proved it to you. What's the other cats down south? Big, Baby and whatever they record label was or is. You know what I'm saying? They proved it to you, and with just doing distribution deals. So they prove the model, the game, because the industry gonna figure out how to get their money that they lose or lost from not being able to sell CDs anymore. There used to be the artist had this fuck deal with the record label, but they would make their money on the tour. So when Napster happened and they firing people at the record labels and record labels closing, they figured out a way to get some of that tour money, if not all of it. They came up with these things called 360 deals. And so the industry managed to kind of, okay, yeah, they replaced their CD revenue with our touring money. You know what I'm saying? So Chance's point is, you put all these things together only to go. The reason why they signing you is because you put all this shit together, right? That's Dave Chappelle's whole thing, why he walked away from that deal on Comedy Central, because when they sign you, now I understand artist development. Artist development needs to happen, whether it's music, an actor, a screenwriter, all that. All that needs to happen. I agree with all it. It all needs to happen, artist development. However, the core of what that artist is able to do is the reason why you approach them and sign them in the first fucking place. So let them do their damn job. Let them do their damn job. What happens is the executives who aren't creative, they send in notes and shit. Well, you think you should, this is funny. No, nigga, that's not the shit that I created and made popular, that y'all came along and made even more popular based on the shit that I created. And so that frustration was about integrity. Nah, I don't give a fuck how much money you paying me. This is not the show that I created, and walked away from it. So I got much love and respect for Dave. Love him for that shit, because I would have did the same thing. I've done the same thing, not for $50 million, but I walked away from my first fucking movie, my first movie deal, my first record deal. We got that shit that night. I walked away from it 2 hours later, three hours later. It's not about. If it was about money, I'd have been a long time ago. We wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd be some bougie ass nigga somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But I have some integrity. I look at the end game. Who am I working with? Okay, I'm gonna sign this contract, and then I can't really talk to this cat and be honest with them about the project we're doing without them getting butthurt or vice versa or whatever. If I sign this, I'm gonna be stuck with them. That shit, that's like marriage. I was married once. That shit didn't work out. Communication, all that shit is important to me. I walked away from my first record deal because of a conflict that came up once the record deal was announced. And I saw the conflict for what it was. Yeah, it was a conflict between something that I said to one of the members of the group, but the bigger picture was, to me, okay, we just got a record deal, and we arguing over some shit that ain't got to do with the record deal. It's got something to do with what your girlfriend wants you to do and what she said. It ain't got nothing to do with it. I said something responding to this person about what his girlfriend had said that he shared with us. that she didn't want him to do music anymore. And I said to him, anybody that tell you to step away from your dream is the devil. Especially after you just told them that you got a record deal. You just told them that you got a record deal, and their response to you is, I don't want you to do music anymore. My response to him was, that's the devil. And that's what he fixated on. Why you call my girl the devil? Let's fast forward. She cheated on him 2 weeks later. Or she had been cheating on him already with her boss. And blah, blah, blah. Got a restraining order against all that type of shit. Well, he was a good dude. But my response was valid. We didn't know until 2 weeks later. But my response was of walking away was based on the fact, because I immediately thought, damn, he tripping about this. And we just got him. We only been a group for 3 months. We just got off tour. That's fast. I made a phone call and talked to one of my, boom, we got a distribution deal. I tell you, and then you say this to me and I say this back, and you fixated on that instead of the fact and being excited that we just got a record deal. What I thought immediately was in the future. So if we working on a record and I feel some kind of way about the song or your verse, or you feel some kind of way about mine, that we can't come together and express that without some going to blows. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I walked away. I was like, you know what? I just told you that I just got us a record deal, and you arguing over some bullshit. I was like, I'm not signing up for that. I was like, fuck that deal. Walked out of his house. And I ain't seen him since. This is probably 20. Yeah, at least 20 years ago. I ain't seen him since. I've talked to him. We've reconciled. We've never really talked about that incident. But we talked online and reconciled and laughed at how, we was young and doing shit and had fun. But yeah, I walked away from my first movie deal in Kalamazoo. I had a movie deal. My first script. And something in the contract said something, and I was a layman looking at it. I was like, this part right here don't look right. And my lawyer agreed. He was like, everything else is good if they just change this right here and blah, 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 blah. I walked away from that shit. And because, I knew early on about ownership a little bit, and something that it said in there led me to believe that I wasn't going to own that shit no more. And at the time, that was the standard. The production company usually buys the right to produce your movie and buys the rights to your film or your script, and then it's theirs. Early on, getting in the, I'm like, nope, I'm not with that shit. And I didn't even know the full reason why. I just knew I'm not gonna own it no more. And I wrote this shit. Y'all gonna continue to make money off of it forever, and this is all I was gonna get, because it was an independent production company that was doing the film. So the budget wasn't a big budget. It was considered low budget. So I was looking at that too. I'm like, that shit ain't, man, and I walked away from that shit, man. Yeah. And so he said, don't sign a distribution deal. Case in point, MC Hammer, Master P, his distribution deal was 15%. And then it went to 20 for, cause they wanted some upfront money. I just learned that. They wanted some upfront money, I guess like $250,000. So they gave him another 5%. So he got a 20% distribution deal. That's not the norm. That never happens. They don't even discuss you keeping your publishing. Here go $10 million. They don't even discuss your publishing. So we have examples, blueprints, and the only reason why people sign distribution deals or movie deals or whatever the case right now is out of desperation. Even if they could show and see the numbers that if they play the long game, they'll make more money if they don't sign this deal. But we want to be branded so bad, and we want to show off our bag and this money so bad that we done made that we sabotage our own selves. We sabotage ourselves for immediate gratification. And we can't own shit doing that. We're not gonna be able to pass on legacies doing that and behaving like that. It's just not gonna happen. We want bling so bad and so fast. We want it so. That's how they take advantage of us in show business. Being desperate. When you know your worth, you know your product is worth something. Remember, they came to you. They came to you. So there's value in that. There's a reason. You know, they came to you. So understand why they came to you. And if the reason that they came for you can be mimicked or replaced, what's up, Derek? Can be done by somebody else, and then you can kind of gauge what your worth is. You know, yeah, man. This so Chance is right. What else did he say? Don't sign a management deal. No, why? Why? Even if you start making money, if you just started making money, now you about to give that money away and get in an argument with your girl why you ain't bringing no money home. Because now you done brought Bob aboard. He taking that extra money that you just started making and some to try to get you some more that he may not get you. So now both of y'all are struggling, starving artists. Wait until you build up enough to where you desperately need the management. You desperately need it. You need some help maintaining and scaling your business. You don't need another mouth to feed, so to speak. That's all that is. It's another mouth to feed on your entourage that you can't afford. You know what I'm saying? We want to be seen. We want to seem like a lot of people love us, all that old shit, just to be validated. Validate yourself, yo. Have strength and knowledge and find and know your worth. Know your worth. What else he say? Hire the people that you need to work with you. Right. I was watching somebody interview and they concur. They said the same. They said, oh, T-Pain. He said when you bring in somebody and you got to pay them, make sure that's what they do and they get the fuck out. He said you'll notice they'll start, oh, hey, you know, I could, no, nigga, and then try to say, well, I could help you. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have been able to do that one part on there. No, you came in here to do these keys right here. You done, here go your money, bye. You know what I'm saying? People try to attach themselves to your shit unnecessarily. So the bottom line, what Chance is saying is you don't need all these people's hands in your pot when you first starting off. We only did it, and I was seeking, man, look here. You know how many scripts I done sent out to managers and trying to get an agent. In retrospect, if I would have spent all that energy on my craft, I'd be further off than what I am now. And I done did some shit. I'd have been further. I would have more money. Oh, you don't know how much money I done spent on making copies of my script. Oh my God. Let me tell you this story. Look at here. So when I first went to Hollywood, man, this is why I gotta make what I deem to be success in my life. I got to, because this will make this scene in a movie about my life all the more precious. So when I first went to Hollywood, man, it was a weekend. I had taken a weekend off my job. I was living in Arizona, and I had just hooked up with this supermodel who was a mutual friend. They did a movie together. Martin Lawrence's what's that movie? Thin Line Between Love and Hate. They was on that movie together. So I went to Hollywood for the first time to meet up with this cat so he could introduce me. And this meetup is how I got or know anybody I know in show business today. This meetup is the reason why I know anybody that I know in this business. So that's the only thing that came out of. No, I ain't gonna say that's the only thing that was of value in this trip, but that's the biggest thing that came out of even meeting this person, right? So I go there. I'm not knowing what to expect. I know I'm dressing casual to be impressive. I was really cut back then, a little bit bigger, younger. I was 22, 23 maybe. And screenwriter, actor, you know. So my thing was, I'm gonna go there and make the best and most of this experience going to LA. So I go there. I stay at a raggedy, one of the raggedy motels, that people come from out of town to stay in, trying to, reach the dream and shit like that. The hotel, I can't tell you the name of the hotel, but it was right next door to a place called the Authentic Cafe where I used to eat at while I was there. That shit was dope. The Jamaican jerk chicken was dope. It was right across the street from CBS Studios where they shot The Price is Right. And at the time they shot The Price is Right, excuse me, and what's it called? Vibe? Sinbad used to have a show called Vibe, and then Chris took over. But they were shot in the same lot, and it was right across the street. So when I went to LA for that weekend, I must have printed off 50 screenplays. And back then, shit, that's a lot of money. 50 shit, nigga, that was half a paycheck. Not really though, because I worked at a property management company. I was a maintenance man, so I would just go to the office, and a lot of times I get my own paper because the manager would yell at me for using, all that shit. But for the most part, I was printing off scripts in the office and shit. But anyway, so I got 50 scripts, right? Now, mind you, I'm dressed casually, and I got some dress shoes I think somebody gave me, right? And they already had a lean on them. You know what I'm saying? They already had a lean on them bitches. But they look good at the top, on the top, from the surface. So my idea was, I'm going to make the best of this trip. I'm going to get seen, because my shit was good. I had 4 screenplays, maybe, at the time. And I had, one of them I got movie deals off my first 2. I don't think I had the second one yet. So maybe the first one was still, the thing that I had passed up or whatever I turned down. So I got 4 screenplays. So my idea was, I'm going to go to every production company in motherfucking Hollywood, walk, because I didn't have a car. You know what I'm saying? I flew there. I didn't have a car, didn't rent a car. I don't know why I didn't fucking rent a car. It never occurred. Maybe because I was meeting up with somebody and he was going to drive around and I didn't know where the fuck I was going anyway. But anyway, so I'm there. I'm at the hotel. And so the next morning, my man's come, I meet with him, blah, blah, blah. We talk, hey, blah, blah. He tell me what he going to do once he gets done doing what he did, because he had to work. He's a model. So the next day was my day. I'm going to go walk with a bag, maybe I had a bag or a backpack, I can't remember, full of my scripts, and I'm going to every building that look important, and got a production company in it and dropping off a screenplay. Now, mind you, I had like 50 scripts. All day. I even walked by the Death Row building. They had this big ass tall glass building that was they had a gate, like a fence. It was the only building that had a security fence around that bitch. I looked at it, I was like, nah, I ain't going. I walked right past. I'm like, nah, I don't need to go there. But I went to every tall building in Beverly Hills, and I walked all the way to like the surrounding areas of Hollywood and like Beverly Hills and all that Hollywood shit. I can't even name the shit. I walked several miles that day. I walked so much that day to get and handed out my last script. Remember the shoes I said was leaning? Them bitches, I had to throw them away. That's how bad they ended up at the end of the day. It was hot. Nothing came of any of them scripts that I passed out. Nothing. But what I gained was that experience of, I believe in myself, and this is what I was willing to do to make that shit happen. Now, my last stop, because I was looking for New Line Cinema at the time. It was on Robertson Boulevard, and I stopped into this one place, and this was me being young, naive, not. I was a risk taker, but I didn't want to risk losing my job at home, right? So again, remember, I'm stacked. It's hot, so I'm glistening and shit. So I go into this what in retrospect was like a production company agency, and they did shows for Comedy Central, and and so I walk in looking for New Line Cinema because out of everything that I wanted to do there, I wanted to go to New Line Cinema because they did the type of movies that that my writing would fit. So I go, I was going to, hey, I'm looking for New Line Cinema, and I was in the vicinity, and this lady comes out, this white chick comes out, and she comes out all flirt. She's at first she was gonna walk past me, and then she sees me, and then she takes another look, and then all of a sudden her interest instantly changes. She's like, "Oh, who are you? Can I help you?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm looking for New Line Cinema, and I need to drop off a script." And she was like, "Oh, really?" So she came over to me and was like, "Have you ever been on TV?" I was like, "No." Like she was, me tooing me. She straight up me tooing me. And and I was like, "No." She was like, "Would you like to be?" Like right then and there, I could have been put on. But I was thinking of my work. It was my last day there. Yeah, it was my last day there, and I had to be at work the next day. Yep, it was my last day there. So I went. I ran and dropped the scripts off not the next day, but the day after, because I went around with Vaughn the very next day. So yeah, so when she asked me that, she was like, "Yeah, we're casting right now for a show called Make Me Laugh." That's what it was called. It was a show called Make Me Laugh, and yeah, she said, and I want to say I knew somebody that was on that show too. And shit. Not at the time, because I wasn't a comic at the time. But it was a show called Make Me Laugh, and she was like, "Yeah, I could, if you want to be on a show called Make Me Laugh, I can make that happen." I was like, I gotta be at work tomorrow, and I live in Arizona. She was like, "Oh, that's too bad." And that was it. Walked the fuck away. Told me where New Line was, and walked the fuck away. That was it. In retrospect, I should have took that shit. I should have took that shit. Yep. I should have did that shit. One of them decisions that you think about in retrospect, and there's not many of them that I'd say I do over, but that one right there, I should have took that shit. Yep. Because I think I would have inevitably became a comic. It was a path that I was destined to do because I'm a screenwriter, and and I became a comic in Hollywood later on, years later. But I became a comic in Hollywood because I was there, and the situation, the situation just presented itself. So I think I always have became a comic eventually, but this would have accelerated my life and career by like 5 fucking years. No, it would have been, yeah, it would have accelerated 5 years, but I got really into the business 1 year later because the job that I remember now, because the job that I was working at, I only worked there for 1 year. And the only reason why I worked there for 1 year exactly, from July 7th to July 7th of 96 to 97, is because I got my first Hollywood gig. And that's when I started working for Master P and all that. But, yeah. So, in retrospect, I should have took it. I should have took it. I should have took it. Yep, I should have took it. You could call it, what do they call it, the casting couch or whatever I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I didn't do nothing wrong. I wouldn't have said she did nothing wrong. Okay, you want a piece of this for me? Okay, because no matter what, I had the talent. I have the talent. I had the talent. So she wanted to, rub my head a couple times to get me on the show. Here you go. You know what I'm saying? I don't see nothing wrong with that. That's what as a guy, shit, fuck, I'm glad to get in this motherfucker. But I was married at the time, so That's what really bothered me. I was thinking, I was newly married, and I'm thinking about, nah, no, you're gonna get me in trouble, and plus I got to be at work in the morning. I said that square shit. I got to be at work in the morning. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I got to be at work in the morning. Out of all the rule bending and bold steps that I've taken in my career to get things done and do shit, to remember that I was scared to call my boss and be like, hey man, I got a spot on a television show. Like, who wouldn't have understood that? That's why I went there, is to get a shot at something. And my dumb ass turned the motherfucker down the last day. I gotta get on the plane the very next day to go back home to this job. I'm having an epiphany right now. Thinking about it and saying it out loud. My goal was to get on, and somebody offered me something on the last day, and I turned the shit down because I had to be at work in the morning. This shit is hitting me right now. I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah, I'm thinking about that right now. I went there for that and turned it down at the end of the trip. It's just all hitting like, you fucking idiot. That's it. It's crazy. That's crazy. So what Chance is saying is very, very, very fucking valid. And a lot of us learn it the hard way well, some of us learn it's because we couldn't afford that shit, But I saw it for what it was. Like, okay, they doing the same thing I was doing before I met them and shit. And a lot of times we didn't really get anywhere. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of deals that I had with past managers is if we didn't make any money, they weren't making any money. So it wasn't, and then we were friends and we had dope experiences and they had value in regards to the era and time that we were in and trying to do the things that we were doing. But yeah, man, I got some shit I've been able to do in show business because of that one trip. Let me tell you, I'm doing multiples on here. That one time I met the realest nigga in Hollywood. On that same trip, I met the realest person in Hollywood. And to this day, almost 30 years later, this cat is still the same cat, and he's still in the business, and he does a lot of independent films now. But that was Glenn Plummer. You know who he is? Look him up. Glenn Plummer, the realest nigga in Hollywood to this day. I haven't spoken to him since then, but I've been watching his work and his actions and things that he's been doing, and especially he's done some stuff in the Detroit area as of lately with some filmmakers that I know of. And I know if he see me and I started breaking into the story, he'll remember. I don't know if he remembers me just if somebody say, hey, remember that young nigga you met with Guy Torrey and blah, 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 at the Century Club? Maybe. But I know if I got into the story of where we met, he'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember you. Especially if you see me, he'd be like, yeah, I remember you, bro. Young brother. I remember going to the Century Club. This is the club in Hollywood that all the stars and shit went. It was dope. The Century Club was dope. I thought I was a fucking star when I went in there. I'm going in there. So I've been spoiled living and working at LA. So when I come home to Michigan or any other place, I'm not waiting in line. I've been raised like that. Not only did I do security for a long ass time because of my size and was around entertainment no matter what job I was doing, I ain't had to pay to get into a club since I've been this big. I ain't had to pay. Yeah, And then, so especially being in LA and I'm walking in the door with somebody in the industry and we on the guest list already, I ain't never had to pay to go into the Citrus Club. That shit was dope to me. So to come home and be, to go into one of our clubs and we had to wait. I'm not waiting. It's just foreign to me. But so so my boy was introducing me to all kind of people at the Century Club as a writer, new up and coming writer. I was was meeting Guy Torrey. I can tell you some shit because I did a timeline thing. I watched the Guy Torrey's Fat Tuesdays documentary, and yo, the opportunity that I missed not really developing that relationship with Guy. Like I got his phone number right now on my phone, and he ain't responded because it's been a couple decades. Nigga, you don't know who the fuck I am. You know that I became a comic. You know what I'm saying? Will he remember me if I start talking to him? Absolutely. I know he would. Because I remember when I met him, what we talked about and all that shit. And I remember that we had stayed in contact because that's when Pagers was out. And he had cracked a joke on me still having a pager because he had contacted me after we had met while I was living in Arizona and we would talk. And so that era, when I watched Fat Tuesday, I know I digressed, but I gotta speak on this. When I watched the documentary on Fat Tuesdays, I realized that because that's the time when Guy was blowing up, he was just diving into stand-up because his brother was already a stand-up and had just moved to LA and trying to get his feet wet in the business. If I would have matured and that relationship didn't mature further or whatever, because maybe I lost his number and I didn't have that pager anymore. And that's it. Had I kept with that relationship, anything could have been possible. That's all I'm going to say. Anything could have been possible. I would have definitely been, at the end of the day, they had all those comics from that time, names put on the comedy club's walls at the Comedy Store, put on this wall from back then, back in those days. And I bet you my name would have been on that wall. If I would have matured that relationship, my name would have been, because I would have became a comic then. I didn't know, when I met Guy at the Century Club, I knew him as an actor. And maybe I knew that he did stand up, but I knew him and was introduced to him as an actor. I already knew he was a comic, but that's how I was introduced to him. Hey, this is my boy, screenwriter, da-da-da. We talked it up, exchanged numbers. Shaq was there that night. Jermaine Dupri, Jamie Foxx. I remember I talked to Shaq, and I asked him to sit down. When he sat down, he had this blue suit on. I remember him coming through the door. I hadn't been down and shit. He came on with this big blue ass suit, like a big blue penguin. Jermaine Dupri was there. What's that nigga name? 213. Regulators. Warren G was there. And I remember him specifically because I didn't talk to him, but I saw him sitting on his table and he looked sad and depressed and shit that night. Like some shit just went down or some shit. Who else was there? So anyway, I met Glenn Plummer, right? He was one of the people that was there, and my boy introduced me to him. And out of all the people that was there, I was most enamored with him because he was in Minister Society, South Central, there was the shits back then. So I'm like, damn, this is my man. So yeah, I was tripping, And so I learned later on, at the club ain't really the place to be talking shop. That's where people letting me, But I couldn't pass this opportunity up. I think the night was winding down or something like that. And I'm chopping it. I'm like, man, I got to get something out of this experience, man. It wasn't enough for me to just meet these people. I got to get a phone number or something. I wasn't even thinking about the women. I saw a few of them in there, but I'm thinking right now and having, in retrospect, like I don't even think yeah, every now. But I was married at the time too, so my focus wasn't on scattered ass around the building. You know what I'm saying? But even still, I'm still a dude. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't. I was trying to get on. That was my. I was trying to get on, and so I asked Glenn. I was like, "Hey man, and I acknowledged, hey, I don't really want to, I know you're trying to get your grill on and everything, but can we hook up? Uh, I'm here for the weekend. Can we, meet up, have lunch? I buy you lunch, and you just give me some, give me some game. I'm new to this, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, here go my number." In the back of my mind, I'm like, "This nigga done gave me a fake number." Told him what hotel I was staying at, next to the Authentic Cafe across the CB. He knew where it was because a lot of celebrities ate there. So the next day, next day come, I'm excited. I can't wait to eat. I ain't even ate breakfast yet, but I can't wait to eat lunch. You know what I'm saying? Then in the back of my mind, it's like, that nigga ain't showing up. This is Glenn Plummer. I'm some nigga from Michigan. He ain't coming. So I go early. And, going early didn't help the situation. Now I'm waiting even longer for this nigga to show up. Let me tell you something. Not only did he show up, but he showed up on time, which I didn't expect. I thought for sure he was going to be late. This brother showed up on time, man. This brother showed up on time, and we sat there for a good hour and a half, and chopped it up, and he gave me game. He gave me game. He told me certain things that applied to me as a black man. At the time, he was dating, what's her name from, what's her name? She used to be on that show, Eureka, black chick, mixed with Indian, or Native American. What is her name? She played in Low Down Dirty Shame. Real pretty girl that was, they used to date Shame, that Jada Pinkett hated. I can't think of her name, but they used to date. They were dating at that time. So, man, we chopped it up for about an hour and a half. Dude gave me some game. He gave me some real game in show business. He's who I got being on time from, even though I already had it in my system. He told me, especially as a black artist, be on time, follow through. I got that shit from him. He told me what he was doing and what he type of shit he was interested in and you know what? After we parted ways, I can't tell you why I didn't contact him again. And I can tell you definitively it was probably because I lost his number. I bet you that's what it was. 100%. I lost his number. Because there's no reason why I shouldn't have hit him up. I lost his information. That's all it could have been. But his information, or the info that he gave me in person, was so invaluable. It's priceless, because a lot of that shit stuck with me all these years. And I know for a fact, if I was to connect with him today, that he would remember and he would be interested in my works. He would be interested in some of the movie projects that I have. I know that to be true. So there's some parts, some roles that he could play in some of my scripts that fit him perfect and be dope. But yeah, man, he was the realest. He was the realest. And not that anybody else that I ran into wasn't real, but it was surprising to me. I had my preconceived notions about actors, especially understanding that black men don't like to share information. Yeah, I said it. Yeah. I said it. Yep, we know it. Because we don't want, you know, one to get over on the other or reach a goal or whatever the case may be before they do. I want for my brother what I want for myself. And so I guess I took my lesson of sharing information from him because he did it with me. He didn't know me from Man in the Moon and came and met with me the very next day. He came and met with me the very next day. Now, was it on the strength of my boy introducing me to him? Could have been. I don't even know why I didn't ask my boy for his number later on. I don't know. Maybe he told me he didn't have it at the time or something. Maybe he didn't have his number. But I can't remember when I even thought of contacting him if I ever did. I know I thought about him throughout the years, especially when I had a movie project, you know. But yeah, I had a lot of industry contacts. Remember when those two-way pages came out, the flip ones? You know, type and shit like that. I had so many industry contacts.